So I've decided to go alone, remortgage my house, just went all in. It's built into our DNA to be part of a tribe, and there's only so much you can get via a video call or a phone call.
Actually, running a business is 99% of the time not very fun. The brand an agent chooses to join can either be a hindrance or a huge asset.
Marketing first, sales first.
Sales first, because that's the business, and you're banking the money to pay the bills, to run the operation.
Because you can be great at
business.
Marketing and not sell anything.
You'll hate this, Adam. We removed 2 admins from our company because we didn't need them. AI saves so much time, so there will be lots of those changes happening. Only 1 in 8 consumers go back to the existing agent.
Because it's the leaving point, it's the end, but it shouldn't be the end, it should be just the beginning. So good or bad recruitment can either scale or destroy your agency business. Are you wasting hours on CVs, bad interviews, and paying huge recruitment fees? If so, there's a smarter way. Inside Talent is the Netflix of estate agency recruitment. They hire, train, and retain all under your brand for one simple monthly fee. So, podcast listeners, you're going to love this. Look out and make sure you lock this down. It's 10% off their yearly subscription when you contact the team at Inside Talent and quote #Showdown. Now, you need to check them out, don't you? www.insidetalent.com. Inside Talent, smarter hiring made simple. Hi, it's Matt Giggs and welcome to the next episode of Estate Agent Showdown. It is my absolute honour and privilege to welcome 2 absolute titans of the industry with very different views on how estate agency should be done. And I welcome to the panel today Jamie Minors of Minors Brady, co-founder, and Adam Horton of Hortons, founder of Hortons. Around how many years ago now?
Coming up to our 10th year as a brokerage, but originally it was, we're coming up to 15 years being self-employed, doing my own thing. So
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And Minors Brady?
I set up as a sole trader initially in 2014, and then as Minors Brady, we've literally just hit our 10th year. So it's been been a lot of celebrations, which does feel self-indulgent from the team. We went hiking and there's all sorts of rounders. It was good fun.
It's got to be done.
Yeah.
Well, let's start there. You started as a sole trader.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit more about that.
I was 22 years old. I was the typical journey of doing very well as an employed agent. I felt the company I was working for, unfortunately, weren't going in the right direction. And there was a point in my career where they offered me a role to effectively be a director in the firm, which was a big thing, 22. And having contemplated over the sort of strategy of the business, I've decided to go alone, remortgage my house, sold a buy-to-let I had at the time, and just went all in with no investor. I soon realised that doing it by yourself is lonely, is uninspiring. You don't have the same buzz every day as part of an office culture, which we'll come on to. And it just wasn't...
He's very prepared, audience. I can see this. He's got his... He's got his iPad out. Well, not iPad. The Remarkable. That's it.
So anyway, it got to that point where I was around 7 months in, and I just felt, do you know what? I'm not going to get to the levels that I want to get to by myself. I couldn't afford to hire anybody properly because I just didn't have the money to do so. So Alex Brady was due to set up by himself as well. Over a couple of WhatsApps, quite literally, we said, bugger it, we're going all in.
Wasn't he a competitor nearby or something?
Yeah. Yeah, we never worked together.
So you collaborated?
Yeah, we used to have games against each other where he'd go and do a 7 p.m. and just out of spite, I'd do the 8 p.m. after him. So it was very spicy, very competitive, but it was the best decision I ever made. So very, very good.
And 10 years later, and the business has grown to?
Just shy of 100 people full-time. 6 sales offices, 1 lettings, then a mortgage offspring as well.
Fantastic. And Adam, let's go back 15 years first. Let's start there. Where were you before you started on your own journey?
So I left school after my first year of A-levels. I got an apprenticeship. So I think I was 17 at the time. And then I was basically a sales neg. Did that for a few years. Set up on my own age 20.
Wow. Oh, he's beating me.
You were
22.
22.
Yeah.
But he's won already, Jamie.
Wait, did you have a shot back?
at that time as well, when I was setting up, I'd never done a valuation myself. I'd never had any training. I was literally a sales neg in a really traditional small office. I think at the time my target with that business was selling like 5 houses a month was what I was targeted to do. But all the competition around Leicester, where we were based, was just very traditional. There were the photos, obviously no one was using iPhones and stuff back then, but everyone was on these compact digital cameras, not even using a wide lens, but obviously you could go out there and buy a DSLR and a lens and learn how to use it. But there was just no effort when it came to marketing. So I just thought, well, if I can go out there and I know I can take better photos, I thought I stand a pretty good chance, because that's the one thing that really, really matters, I think, in marketing. I thought, how hard can a valuation be? And so I had a pretty quick learning curve. And yeah, one thing led to another. We grew that business to, there was 3 of us in terms of an employed team. But the one, in fact, I didn't mention this, another kind of USP or gap in the market we saw was to try and offer a very traditional service, traditional value, traditional looking brand, better marketing, but also on a fixed fee basis, because eMove were around. There was like Estates Direct, there was rumours of purple bricks at the time. And I thought, okay, well, if we can do everything the other agents do and undercut them, like, we're going to win, surely. What actually happened is kind of 2.5 years in, we were really struggling to make any money, and all the business that we were generating.
So is it an upfront fee?
Yeah. And
how much was it? Come on, just out of interest.
I don't even want to say. It was £600 up front, and we latterly moved into £1,200 no sell, no fee. So it's really, really cheap.
Do you have a premises back then?
We had a little serviced office, not on the high street. But then I just felt in a rut, because I soon realised that it was just going to be impossible to scale unless we got huge volumes. And we've even seen now, in retrospect, we can look back at Pebble Bricks and go, even if you've got huge volumes, it doesn't work. So I just needed to change tact. And so I took a bit of a hiatus and relaunched about a year later with a new model. And that's what's been the thing that's been a bit more successful.
And that's the one that you've been building since then?
Exactly. Yeah.
So what year did you have was it self-employed brokerage back then?
No, so it was the employed team, fixed fee model, between 2013 and 2015, and then I relaunched as a brokerage in 2016.
Okay.
So you've basically been in that sort of space now for quite some time.
Yeah.
And if you looked at if you kind of summarised what it is that you guys do, what is it in terms of self-employed brokerage, estate agency?
We're a brokerage first and foremost. We're there to provide a platform for agents to set up and on their own effectively, but we just provide the infrastructure and support and brand ultimately. And we see it as our job to serve those agents. They're our customers in many respects, but they're, I suppose formally we're business partners with those people. But I think to be a really good brokerage, the leadership in the brokerage has to wake up every day and think, how can we help our agents grow and help them make their day-to-day as smooth as possible so they can focus on the important things.
So you're very much, Jamie, about building a business with a team, with a culture, high performance. And your vision is very much, I want to help the agents to build their businesses.
Yes.
Which one wins?
There isn't a binary answer, and you don't have a binary box of this is right or that is right. However, we, despite knowing what the current trend is, and at one point it was trendy to have avocado on toast every day and take a picture of it.
I thought you were going to say avocado estate agents.
No. My point is trends come and go and trends come in waves, and it feels like at the moment it is a cool trend that you see on LinkedIn. Work from home in your pants, be a self-employed agent, and that's not to say every agent is like that, but it does seem to be that the ones I've come across are poor quality, poor standards, and there are some very high quality self-employed agents in that mix.
Yeah.
But I feel as an overall view of what I've seen and the agents I've seen, particularly with the EXP growth that they've had, which is phenomenal as a business, by the way, you can't knock the growth they've had, but the quality and standards seem so poor.
Why do you think that is?
I've met them. I've met the agents. I've actually coached and consulted an EXP agent. they paid for my services because the training they were getting was really poor. So I think I can only speak from our multi-chain branch agency. The imperatives are over culture, training, development, A players wanting to work with A players. And the reason why we haven't gone down the self-employed model route is because you will get perhaps 10% of really high caliber self-employed agents. And I've not worked with you, but I would imagine, that's your realm of where you are. But you will unfortunately get a lot of others that fall into that lazy work from home mentality that only want to work a couple of hours a day. I think the ones that are really high caliber go and do their own thing. So I think there's going to be a real split.
But do you have that in your culture though, where there's 80% of the income done by 20% of the agents?
Yeah, there is a part of that. But I think the A players that we have, are they good enough as an agent to run their own business? Absolutely. Absolutely, unequivocally. But do they want to? Do they want to be part of a team every single day where they're being pushed and challenged and driven and they've got that fun tribe mentality? And I spoke to you about it before, but it is built into our DNA to be part of a tribe. And if you're a self-employed broker and you're not in an area with each other every day, that tribe goes missing. And there's only so much you can get via a video call or a phone call.
And do you find, Adam, that resonates with some of your guys with regards to maybe they're working more in isolation? Am I thinking that? Or is there a freedom is actually the way forward for the agent?
I think, to answer or address the point you made, the first thing that you said about the quality of agent, I think you could replace self-employed agents with employed agents and you could say exactly the same thing and them both be true. I think in some self-employed brokerages there's exceptional people and in some there's awful agents, and that's the same in the high street. I think in terms of culture, that what they get from working in a tribe is sort of environment in an office, I think is actually just replaced with something different in self-employment. People, if we spoke to any of our agents, other than earning potential and them feeling or realizing more of the value they're bringing to the table for their clients, they're replacing office culture with being able to not have to ask permission to take their kids to to sports or to attend a sports day or whatever it may be. And that sense of freedom and autonomy, I think if you ask most people, would probably place a higher value on for freedom and the benefits they get for their own family life than what they're losing by working in an office, by not working in an office environment. And that might not be the case for everyone, because I know there's in a high performance sales environment, to actually perform at your best, I get that the office culture makes a massive difference. You need that. But if you are someone who's been working in your local market for 15 years, you've got a family, your life is really, really busy, and you're able to justify good quality fees and clients come to you and people want to work with you, and you've got you've paid your dues and you've now got the ability to have a life on your terms, that ends up being way higher up than suddenly the environment you can get from an office.
Because you're both running a business, you both got very different business models. The challenges come with both. What would you say your challenges are, Jamie, running a high performance model, a culture driven model, a tribe, versus maybe with yourself, Adam, you're running a model where people are running their own businesses? What would you say your biggest challenges are there?
As we scale, we're nearly 100 people full time, and the mission for us is to, if you envisage a scale from 0 to 10, and on that scale you've got calibre of people. Calibre isn't just skill. I look at calibre as everything all in one: attitude, enthusiasm, career progression. And you obviously want as many 10s as possible, but it's not realistic. So you want to try and take people on that journey from a 2 to a 4, a 4 to a 6, a 6 to an 8, and obviously try and get them to that level 10 and keep them there. So for us, the challenge is having the chessboard and the football team to know that not everybody can be a 10. And when your standards are so unreasonably high, like mine and Alex's are, it's managing why are they not a 10? Why are they not an 8? And that's difficult, because as you scale and get bigger and bigger and bigger...
Do you get more 6s and 5s?
Yeah, and
but they've got a place.
They definitely do have a place. They're part of the team. How we're now managing that and how we've changed that is, and we're going slightly off subject here, but we've taken out our 2 best sales directors from selling roles, which seems ludicrous. One of them, over 2 years, banked £3 million in exchanges.
Jesus.
From one office.
That's incredible.
1.5 million a year, 2 years in a row. So for us to take that person out, it just is mental. But we did it, we made the change, and it's paid off. And that person now effectively is driving the culture across the business, which is driving the 6s to the 7s to the 8s to the 9s. We've seen that change. We've seen the benefits. We've seen the happiness at work, retention, growth, recruitment. We've seen the physical numbers in the data. And we've said, if that person didn't train all of those people, where would they be? And that's not just at the lower, medium level. That's at the higher level. So I see that and I think, okay, if someone is not there driving those people on training sessions every 3-4 weeks, in-person development, full days together on agency skill and growth mentality, do we perform? Nowhere near. Does the customer get the same results? Nowhere near. Versus maybe someone who hasn't got that training and culture, who is at home doing the school run. Their life is probably a better balance, but do they deliver better results? I don't think so. And does that mean a better result for the customer? I don't think so.
Okay, so you feel that that's where it gets back to the customer in the end, at the experience of a team working with them rather than someone who's maybe managing a lot of different aspects in their day-to-day could be more beneficial.
The caveat to that is the higher end prime market, and also the 10% of agents that actually are absolute high caliber agents that just wake up at 6 a.m. and want to do deals.
They should do it.
Yeah. But then if that's the case, why don't they just set up on their own? Where's the benefit in paying you 25% or wherever the numbers are now? So you were paying 50%, now 25, or you've taken 50, now 25, is that right?
So we were taking 50 and now 25, that's right.
Did my research.
Yes.
I only let you know who you're up against yesterday. So that's changed for you there.
Yes.
What made that change?
Well, to answer the first question.
Yeah, go for it.
I think a good agent isn't necessarily a good business owner. And actually, I think one of the challenges that a lot of branch networks find is that you end up getting promoted because you're a good agent into something where you could be a terrible manager. And that is a challenge. With our model, we're attracting people who want to be known for being the best agent in their area. And I think we're also getting people of a certain caliber that also have a very good understanding of actually what comes along with running a business, and they've consciously made the decision not to do that, and it's because they feel that the value we're bringing to the table is infrastructure. It's taking the headache away so they can focus on what they enjoy, because we all know here actually running a business is 99% of the time not very fun. And that yes, the rewards are there, and it can be hugely rewarding from as having a sense of purpose and building something. But actually, we're not going out there and doing deals and in the same way that a good agent would. And that's what they go to work for, I think. So it's fundamentally a different type of person. If they are an entrepreneur and they've set up like the way that we all have, then yeah, they just wouldn't join a brokerage. But there's plenty of people who do want to do that.
Are you saying business isn't fun?
These revelations.
Well, yeah. I mean, we all go through these challenges, ups and downs, and you were alluding to some of it previously before making the switch. That your retention can be challenging if they've not got the right direction around them, or they've got the right person holding standards, people accountable. I suppose from someone in isolation, that can be quite challenging, because I think most people that I've found who have got accountability, who have got someone giving them the clear direction, but in a way that's more positive, as opposed to maybe working in the corporate model, as opposed to getting a hard time if you don't hit your results. It's a case of how do you get the results rather than you haven't got your results. Do you find that the people maybe miss that slightly when they're self-employed and then they're in sort of isolation?
I think agents do go through...
Or do you offer that? I don't know.
We do to some extent.
Yeah.
I think as a brokerage, my personal belief is you don't want to be overpowering in the sense of there'll be some agents that, because they are successful, they're very teachable. They want to learn. But equally, they're becoming self-employed because they want to do that on their own terms. So it's not like we get people that are resistant to training, but they find it in loads of different ways. So we do it in if people want it, it's there for them. And when we get together as a group, we try and do it every quarter. We always try and bring some value to the table with training. But to be frank, I'm not sitting down there monitoring performance and trying to get more out of these people, because they're doing it for a bigger reason. They're doing it for...
Is that because that's maybe not what would have got the best out of you?
Probably.
Yeah.
That's
because
reflecting
you built that model. Because actually, I didn't appreciate that. I'd rather be trusted and given more ideas. Maybe. I mean, you're quite a creative, innovative style of business. I would say it leans a lot towards marketing.
Yes. Well, this is where we've got to understand what we bring to the table. A good agent isn't necessarily understanding branding and marketing. They may understand property marketing, but they want to be able to lean on a brand that they feel proud of. And I think you create a brand that people feel proud of through having a certain level of innovation and trying new things, because they want to be associated with a brand that's pushing the boundaries. That's another thing that I think agents join us for, because if we're not doing that for them, they've got to do that for themselves.
So if I said to you both, marketing or sales, which one comes first? Which would come first in your business?
For me, marketing.
Okay. Why is that?
Not in marketing, brand. That's specifically.
We'll put that under that umbrella.
Yeah. Okay.
Why?
Marketing. Because the brand that an agent chooses to join can either be a hindrance or a huge asset, and that could be boiling down to your brand is even the way the phone's answered. If you're getting an inquiry into your business and it goes through to a call answering service and they answer it under your brokerage's name, but then actually there's another agent operating under another brand, and the experience with the call answering service wasn't brilliant, and then that agent's picking the phone up and saying, don't worry about that, what happened there, you're dealing with me now, they're having to make excuses and justify the existence for the brokerage they're with, then it's a hindrance. But if the inquiry is being picked up and it's been handled expertly, they're well qualified, super helpful, and there's continuity between where that inquiry comes in and when the agent picks it up, like that's all the experience of a brand. It's not just the logo of the door. Yeah.
But off the back of that, for me, that logically is the reverse, because if you're sitting in a branch as a director or manager and you can hear 5 people on the phone, you can hear the consistency of how the phones are answered. You are monitoring calls, you're monitoring and assessing and auditing and checking. If someone's answering on a phone half an hour away, how do you monitor that and check it if you don't also want to check in on them?
Yeah, because we will take on a partner and we give them 100% trust on day one, and that remains until the trust is broken.
How do you check that? How do you know that that's the case? How do you know they're being answered in the same way?
Well, I think you can get, if you're an employee, you could get by without. You could give 5 out of 10. You could be a 4 out of 10 maybe and survive because you're scraping through. If you're self-employed, the reality of a self-employed agent is so brutal that unless you are dealing with every inquiry and putting everything into it, creating an amazing experience, you won't survive, let alone thrive. And if you're not building a positive reputation, then it threatens your existence as an agent.
But you could still build a positive reputation, call, answer and deal that inquiry quickly, give good service, but your brand could be completely different. They could answer the phone in a completely different way, tonality, the email that can come through, all of that could be so different. So I'm curious to know how you would know that's the case.
If
you didn't audit or did a random...
We don't.
No.
That's reality.
Yeah.
And I think
It's because it's a trust model, right?
It's 100%.
And that's what you're saying. You're saying to people, look, we've brought you in for a reason. That's what we're giving you is trust. We'll soon know if you fuck it up.
Yeah.
And
because you won't sell any houses.
It's an autonomy model, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what you've got, Jamie, just interested to know the answer to that question, marketing or sales. Which one would you go for first? Which is the 41? What's the 49? 41, 51, 49.
Yeah, to give a different view of it, our three core pillars, as I spoke to you before, is people, processes, and marketing. There are three core pillars. The people is who you recruit, train, retain, develop, give loads of love to, give tough love to when required, and how they treat the people in terms of customers. Process is so important.
That's what I can hear in your business.
Process
is that because you're scaling across a lot of people, so the processes have to be clear?
Yeah, but even sales processes, even when the inquiry comes in, where does it go? Where does it go in a follow-up system? We win so much business from a follow-up system. You know, I think last month we listed with lettings included around 440 listings. A lot of that doesn't just fall on our lap.
Well, no, how many do you list there and then? It's not that high, is it?
We would love to say, as every agent does on LinkedIn, we only get stuff from our recommendations.
But the fortune's in the follow-up, right?
Yeah, and it's about the process to get there.
But if you was to choose, because I've asked this question to a few people, and it's interesting to hear their answers. Marketing first, sales first.
Sales first, because that's the business, and you're banking the money to pay the bills, to run the operation.
Because you can be great at marketing and not sell anything.
And you can actually be bad at marketing and sell lots.
Okay.
We look at the biggest in the country, who I have respect for the size that they are and the profits that they make in terms of Sequence, Connell's Group. The marketing is atrocious across the group, absolutely just horrendous. And if I was stepping in as CEO, it's the first thing I would change, is actually have a proper marketing team and strategy. Nonetheless,
they probably got one, Jamie. They might be watching this, so
yeah, maybe. But they sell a lot of property.
Yeah,
they bank money, they sell property, they make. Is that
because it's a legacy brand? But at some point, that could be, out of the window at some point, because as the pace gathers with things like AI and technology and, like you say, good marketing,
in our town,
you could lose pace on just having a sales business alone.
In Norfolk alone, the stats for them from January the 1st to June, they've lost a third of their market share.
Well, that answers that question.
In 5.5 months.
Yeah.
And I think, I'm going to get sued here, aren't I? I think in some businesses like that, hypothetically, of course, I'd enjoy the challenge. It's a challenge. I think processes have fallen down in certain areas, but I think that's massively amplified by poor marketing. And agents, your marketing is very cool. Very cool, great branding. And I looked it up yesterday and this morning. Great marketing, really, really fantastic. And I think that's the skill in your business, is that you're, from the sound of things, not as hot on the processes, but excellent on the branding and the quality, and that probably wins you a lot of customers first time round.
Well, our business is at a head office level. I'm talking about marketing as being the number one from my perspective as a leader of a broker. I think if you asked our agents, they would say sales, because they lean on us for the marketing. But from a process perspective, our business is incredibly simple, a lot simpler than it was even a few years ago, and that's come to the realization that I think as we've grown, simplicity in our process and procedures is everything.
But actually, just on that, this is fascinating, because you sold how many properties last year? I only asked you that question because I wouldn't normally ask it, but I thought, well, I know Jamie, you'll probably know exactly what it is.
Do you know what? I didn't bring it with me.
Thousands, though.
Yeah, I would need to check my phone below with all the figures on, but so fair few.
So is it hard for it not to just be a numbers business?
I know the net sales and I know the profit, but the volume is...
Let's talk about that, because that's where the corporates go. Not the exact figures, but what I mean by that is how do you balance... Because you've got to pay the bills, you've got to make profit. How do you balance the numbers? How do you balance the numbers with that experience at the other end from a customer's perspective? Because ultimately you want them to get the listing, get the fee agreed, get the house on the market, get it sold, let's get it through. That can sometimes drive behaviours that could be attributed to a more corporate brand.
reviews aren't everything, but reviews do tell
A story.
Because if you look at the ratio of reviews you get, and you naturally, every bad review can eat you up, right? As it does for most business owners. But you will get a trend over a branch. You will see what's happening, because if someone has had a really bad experience, they will leave a review. Because we have a brand as owners in Norfolk and Suffolk, they will come to us directly. They will find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, message me something positive or negative. So we'll get a feel for where things are. And if we have an office that we know has dropped standards, then we build a plan to rectify that and drive customer service.
So you're still agile enough because of that contactability.
It's like recently, okay, so I love a customer feeling good about using our services. It makes me feel good, and I actually feel proud that we can help people move. So numbers are very, very important. They pay the bills, but actually my name's above the door, as yours is and yours is, right? So it's personal. You go into your local Sainsbury's, you want to make sure, we sold a house through you, and you just hope it was a really good experience. So we recently...
That's we must all have felt that one, when someone says, are you that Matt Giggs? And I'm like, and you're like, I know where this is heading. Yeah. It's that experience, yeah.
So for me, it's
when someone says they were great, like, there is no better feeling. Is there?
Amazing.
I love that.
Amazing. But just going back to the point of, we doubled our profits year on year. Over doubled our profits.
That's incredible.
But then we said, okay, how do we reinvest back into service and the customer experience? So one small thing we did, after every completion, the customer gets like an art frame of their property, looks really cool. The sales progressor will ask the person who's moving in, pets' names, etc. So on that little frame will be Charlotte, Tom, Boris and Badger, right? So they get that come through in the post, and it's like this lovely sentimental feeling. And I think Chris Watkin uses a stat that only 1 in 8 consumers go back to the existing agent. Well, we hope to try and change that process as best we can.
Because it's the leaving point, it's the end as such, but it shouldn't be the end, it should be just the beginning.
See you in 5 years.
Yeah. But it's a fascinating part, that 1 in 8 is an interesting stat. But to combat, so I get the clarity on this, that when you're building a business of the size that you've got it from an independent standpoint, to maintain that kind of service and experience, it must be quite challenging. And how do you do that so you don't get the complaints? How do you really monitor it? Is that something that you can do, or you do?
You'll hate this, Adam. So we audit file notes. We audit to make sure that every week a vendor's had vendor care, some kind of update. So you do a spot check per branch. I won't do it. Our operations team will do it. Head of ops will say, okay, I'm going to do a random spot check, and I'm going to go through and make sure that on 30 of your 150-ish available per branch, that they've had clear, thorough notes, actually given them a market update. You'll see a clear trend. Are there 15 that say LM left message? Are there some that have had no contact for over 7 days? Or is there really clear, comprehensive updates on that person's move? You get a clear picture. You email the branches to say, guys, these are just the numbers, make of them what you will. And the branch will soon have that.
Do all the team get to see all of each other's good and bad?
The senior management but not below that level.
Okay.
You have to have some closed
doors. That's
doors.
your form of monitoring, is spot checks, making sure standards are upheld. Okay.
Absolutely. And then re-monitored maybe 2 weeks later, they'll always improve. And that's that iron sharpens iron view of, I understand the value in work-life balance, dropping your kids off to nursery, but from a keeping sharp, keeping elite, keeping the standards so high, you do need accountability, and you do need some kind of mini audits to keep everyone sharp.
So is that how you feel you're fixing the industry in terms of making sure the standards are higher? Because the previous guests that I've had on, we've kind of similar. Got Steve Beercox up north, runs 11 branches, team of 80. So I kind of almost put him in your realm, and we had Nested as well. So I'd kind of liken Alice to yourself. Is that something that you see there in your business about how those standards can be upheld? Because if you've got two very different models but you're raising the bar, there's a big gap appearing in the middle.
Our key on that, I wouldn't say that bit we mentioned is the reason why we're doing great numbers.
Go on.
For us, it is the positive fun. You go into a Minors Brady branch and there's smiles everywhere and people are on the phones and it's active, and I've just tied that deal and there's a great buzz about the place.
So how did you feel when people kind of knock that kind of approach and that sort of model? What goes through your mind? Because people would say that's going back in time rather than going forward.
I don't care.
Good.
Are they people that I want to be? Are they people that are doing where I want to, or achieving what I want to achieve? Are they people that I care deeply about their opinions? Absolutely not. In which case, it's water off a duck's back.
So what's the vision for your business then? What's the vision for Minors?
I'm going to flip onto you because I've spoken for a bit, Adam.
No. Hang on. What is the vision for Minors and Brady, would you say?
At the moment, we're acquiring other firms. And in a podcast recently, a video, I said we're playing professional Pac-Man, which was very tongue-in-cheek.
I thought I'd get a soundbite.
We're playing professional Pac-Man, which is good fun. So we've got another acquisition that's due to go through in a couple of weeks, which will add around 260 managed units to the portfolio. Amazing. So we're just trying to grow the lettings book, grow mortgages.
But the reason why I'm saying that, though, Jamie, if you don't mind me stepping in, is because it's very rare to see that growth in an independent the way that you've done it. And I think that a lot of people have seen that as an unfashionable way of growing a business, when actually there's so many benefits to it. There's so many.
Avocado on toast. I told you it was really cool. That was the thing. You know, we are going to go through trends. I think post-COVID, post stick it to the man, work 4-day weeks. That's the era we've been in the past 5 years. But I think that will get to a maximum capacity of what it can reach. We had this with the Purple Bricks model.
So do you see the self-employed model going to a higher percentage in the next 5 years, or do you feel it's just going to sort of plateau?
It's a good question. As a general rule of thumb, there will be a cap to it, whatever that cap may be, because of fear of security over income, salary, fear of failure. Again, I don't think the standards are going to be there. I think a lot of self-employed agents are going to get found out. I think when the market turns at some point, which it will, I think they'll all, not all, I think a lot will wash out.
We were talking about this, weren't we, earlier?
Yeah.
About when you had that little period where it changed for you, but actually it's really worked for you.
Yeah. So the number of agents contracted in 2022, 2023 turned out to be a better thing for the business, because there are agents that were riding the wave of a busy market. And I think unless you've got the experience to know how to navigate all market conditions, it's a vulnerable position to be in. So it's not for everyone. But Jamie, I don't think you're giving enough credit to just a much more underlying shift in mentality amongst agents, because if we rewind 10 or 15 years ago, the most coveted positions in estate agency businesses were the branch manager, the senior valuer, or they wanted to get up to be regional director or whatever it was. Like, that isn't the case anymore. Now we're seeing people that work, they perhaps join a corporate, they have a bit of the industry clicks with them, they do quite well. They're not looking at their branch manager anymore and going, I want their job. They're looking at the person they follow on Instagram who works in the same town as them, who's self-employed, that's smashing it out the park, and they understand that, we can see how many deals they're doing. Maybe they're 50, 80, 75%, whatever it is. Like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to work out how much money these people are earning. And they're going, I want to be able to do that one day.
So you see, that's like the estate agency has changed to the point where people in it who are good have got more than just a career growth option. There's an option of...
I think the reason you mentioned earlier about the corporate agencies market share declining, I think that's across the country. I don't think we're seeing the full effect of that, but I don't think the reason for that is marketing. It's because they've got a shortage of talent coming in, and there's businesses like yourself that are exciting brands, they're local success stories, people want to be a part of it. But if you're a culture, corporate, isn't it?
But why are we an exciting brand to the outsider? Because of marketing, how we market our brand. But the corporates could do that.
The corporates,
if me and you went into the biggest agent in the country, we could make it cool to work there.
Yes, I do agree, but I think you would still have a problem with when people reach a certain level of competency and they've realised they've got options open to them. If they know they've got a strong enough personal network and reputation, that they're not thinking, I want to be a regional director anymore.
Just on that, sorry, Jamie, just because you raised a point about the marketing side in the corporate world. Do you think because people aren't that passionate about the cause in those environments, so the marketing kind of follows suit?
It's because they're ran generally by PLC or similar, and at the highest level of boards, accountancy brains are generally at the head of most of these companies, okay? And everything is numbers. Purely management accounts across a wider region, broken down into top line, bottom line, and everything in between. But a lot of them just, I think, lack that personal finger on the pulse, in the branch touch of, this doesn't feel right. People don't want to work here. And if you look at Foxtons from afar, one thing I noticed about Foxtons, the change, and what Guy's done is a phenomenal job there, and he hasn't had
very noticeable from even where we are,
and he hasn't had the credit from the city.
Yeah.
The share price hasn't mirrored the performance of the
it
business.
It will.
But the culture's changed. You know, he's put in their offices, I think it's a 5-step thing that looks cool. The minis are back out. They're catching the champagne again.
He cares about it.
But what I notice, is that now I see people on LinkedIn sharing that they work there, and I see people on social putting the brand in their bio. And when I see, I don't know, half of our company have our brand in their bio, I think, they've really bought in. At a massive, massive company, if you're not seeing that, you don't know that that's a problem, and that then eventually affects the numbers. So I think that's the problem. There's a massive, massive gap between what's really happening, board, numbers.
Too many layers.
Yeah.
Okay. And your vision for Hortons? So Jamie's going to take over the world, whether it's in his own brand or he ends up running a big corporate. What's that? I'm only teasing.
Never do it.
But what's your vision, Adam? And has it changed in the last 5 years?
I don't think the vision's changed. I think we've had to make lots of changes and adapt. But I always think with things like this is you've got to make a bet on what you believe the future is going to look like of the industry. And I try and look at what I think is likely to stay exactly the same. And it's going to be, as we're probably all going to agree on, the fact it's a people-first business, and it's all about relationships and stuff. And my belief is the self-employed model is the best way for agents to do that, and it removes friction from agents being able to do that. And so if I look at it from a very long-term perspective, our vision is that we just want to be around in 20 years. And I think if we stick to the basics, I don't even have a clear goal on like how many agents we want to recruit or anything like that this year. And that's fundamentally different.
Jamie's like that in a minute. He's
exactly.
He's got to have a clear goal. He's got to have a clear goal. There's no accountability there. But seriously,
No comment. No comment.
But that's because we're doing something different.
Yes.
And my only belief, and you asked earlier about how to create a high performance environment, maintain high standards, is that it all comes down to attracting the right people. So my number one challenge is making sure that when an agent joins, the rest of our team go, what a signing, what a great person, and I'm proud to be working alongside them. The industry's shifting a lot, but you've got brokerages that are growing rapidly, but actually you could have 7 people operating in the same town that don't like each other, that are stealing each other's business.
I'm sure that happens.
Yeah, and they're not proud to be associated with some people that are operating under the same brand. So my long-term vision, they say, is to get to national coverage, but I'm comfortable with it taking a very long time, because the only way to do a brand and create a brand that stands the test of time, I think, is by keeping ridiculously high standards that you mentioned earlier. But it simply boils down to one goal for us of having exceptionally high quality agents. And I think that isn't something that's replicated in the wider brokerage model. Can
I ask you then, because with it's going to get bigger, this self-employed marketplace, and whether it shrinks again or whatever, we'll come to see what happens. Is that market, because they're all after the same caliber, they're always after this entrepreneurial type of estate agent, which, as Jamie said, maybe only 10% make the cut. So is it a case that the models are going to be challenging each other, and it's going to become more fighting within the models themselves, as opposed to actually we're competing with Jamie. Actually, we're not really, because Jamie's vision's very clear. It's very much about process and people, and it's this and it's that. Culture, fun, energy. Ours is freedom, flexibility, build your own business with us. But so are all of these other models now. And they're only going to get more, because if you look at a lot of estate agents now, they're trying to create their own, which I think's a mistake in some ways, because what you're doing is you're diluting what your focus is.
I think it's not necessarily going to... I don't think it will be a challenge of brokerages necessarily.
Because then people then just go, well, you offer 75, that one's 50, give us 90 and I'll come to you, sort of thing.
I don't think there's going to be less self-employed agents. I think there's going to be less brokerages, because they're
Will they team up?
I think there'll be a bit of that, and then I think there'll be other people who just can't make it work. It's if you're looking to... If you're a business owner and you're looking to maximise profit over the next 5 years, don't start a self-employed brokerage. Do what Jamie's done. I think if you have...
Not sure on that. Think of the cost, the setup costs, whereas in yours, setup cost to add someone on board, there isn't that.
Yeah, I mean, there's more to it than meets the eye, and it is really difficult. I don't think... I'd go as far as saying there's probably only a few profitable self-employed brokerages in the country.
Yeah. What do you think will happen to EXP?
I think they're here to stay. I think that they've reached a level now, and people have built businesses under them that there's a whole good chunk of them aren't going to go anywhere, but they're at risk of cannibalizing themselves. And I think if you get a couple of the more established agents jumping ship, or if they experience a turn in their share price, and people that see the security in the share allocations, that's suddenly removed and the market gets a bit tough, then you might get people turning their heads. But I don't think they're going anywhere. What
made you ask that, Jamie?
Yeah.
Well, because naturally, in your segment, in terms of what you're trying to do with brokerage, self-employed model, I agree with you. There are going to be a certain pool of people, and we'll just say 10% just for easy numbers, who do want to, do the school run and have lunch at home with their partner and work around that. And I think there will be brokerages that are fighting for that pool of people. And I think at that point, if I'm a self-employed broker, I say, do I go work for Hortons? Do I go work for EXP, amongst many? And I think the three core principles of that are you going to give me a lead source? Can I get some kind of leads from you somehow?
That will be one of the big draws.
Yeah. Second will be training and development, nurturing, all the rest of it. Will there be consistent training, and you can layer that in accountability? Am I going to have fun as a group? I think those three things are what's going to drive someone to a brokerage.
So my view on that would be, first one with leads, I'm a part of a brand that people recognise. That's why I think the important thing with a brokerage is having a brand that's got continuity. In terms of what was your second point? So you've got the leads,
training and development.
That will depend on whether you're a Keller Williams style model and you want people to come into the business that maybe have limited experience but want to be self-employed. Like Keller Williams full of agents that haven't got experience. I don't think they have
to have experience to join there, do they?
With us, that is less important. I think personal development and finding people that are teachable is the important thing.
That is terrifying. Having people come into your brand working alone that have no training.
Yeah, but that's why we're really based on trust. They have training in the sense of these are our values, this is our process, this is the way we expect it to do.
When you started, you set up very young, which is fully admirable in that sense, and the courage that you had shows you that you've got this entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
But there's a large element.
No, I just really respect the agents that are joining us.
Yeah. So they don't have to have experience.
Our agents do have to have experience.
Yours do, sorry.
Yeah.
But the ones in some of the models don't.
They don't. And then that second point becomes really, really important. And then are you joining a team that you're going to have fun and be part of a good culture? For us, specifically, that is not necessarily that we just want to have fun all the time. It's they want to work alongside agents that they think are good. And then my number one responsibility is not undermining the trust that the agents have got in me by bringing in people that that the agents won't respect. And this sounds crazy to you and scary, but for an agent that otherwise sits there and think, I've been doing this for 10, 20 years, 30 years, however long be, I know the game inside out, and in fact, like, I could probably learn more from our agents than they can learn from me in the most part. And we've each got to know our place in it. And if we try and ram too much training down people's throats about stuff that I don't have control over, our own process and procedure, then I don't think that's showing the same level of respect to the agent, because the reason they're successful, the reason they feel confident in making that jump, is because they've got a certain amount of skill. They've got the skill.
Okay. Jamie, you drew a breath in there quite admirably. You didn't say
that
anything
wouldn't work
straight
for your
away.
business.
You listened.
It would not work at all for your business.
But if I had a self-employed brokerage model, that still wouldn't work for me either. I know I'd be missing out margins of people. I know they wouldn't be at their optimum level, and I would feel like I'm completely letting them down. 30 years in, 40 years in, 25 years in, I feel like I'm completely letting them down.
But what if that's what they want?
Okay, so I know an agent that you did training with. Very, very good agent.
Yeah, brilliant.
High calibration.
List houses for fun.
Agents that have been doing it for 20 years. You know, I know that I actually spoke to the sales director on the way here about another matter. Why would they have training? Why would they have refinement? Why, when they're, I know, high caliber, some of them 6-figure agents.
Yeah.
I remember his fees were dreadful. What's the point of you doing it?
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true.
We all could do with some kind of refresher, sharpening.
Coaching, mentoring has a lot of value, but I think actually if you get a good culture and agents respect each other in a brokerage, they get that from each other as much as they do from
just breaking
leadership.
it into what section does it actually fall under.
Yeah.
Is it training? Actually, is it reminding, which is coaching more often than not? Is it mentorship? Well, you've done it, I want to do what you've done, tell me how you get there.
How often do you do that though currently with your brokers?
We get together probably
quarter, you said?
3 or 4 times a year, and that's a mixture between training and development from we're trying to make this or that more efficient, or sharing good ideas and or places that you can draw good ideas from, and not necessarily us just standing there and being a preacher.
And I think that's where our communication hasn't been aligned. I don't necessarily mean I've got a whiteboard out and I'm taking 3 hours just talking at them. It's integrated, it's them mixing round, it's discussing problems, it's challenges, it's one person adding value for 5, 10, 15 minutes. Because ultimately it's not you training them all the time, it's other people helping to add input to the others. And the amount of times, and these are high caliber, very well paid senior people, they go away, I tried that, I did that was a great idea, and I've managed to follow that person and get that extra fee.
I remember Damien, who joined me he in St Ives when we opened, he said, right, we talked about the business plan, and I said, right, what fees are you looking to achieve? And he said 0.9%. And I looked at him, I said, 0.9%? He goes, yeah, you won't get any more than that in St Ives. So he had this fixed mindset mentality. Now he's got the highest fees in the group. Now he had 24 years experience at that point. So it's a really good point well made. There's still a need for training. Let's be honest, we all need training, coaching and mentoring. Just coming back round to this point that we were making about the competitiveness within the different models, which is definitely out there. And in your model, Jamie, you've got a very clear kind of, this is what we do for our people. In the self-employed ones, a lot of people now look at things like advanced commission or helping people in, when the whole idea of self-employed is you eat what you kill as such, not calling clients prey of any sort of description. But how do you see that? What's your take on that? And Jamie, just to come to you after that, because you were observing in probably like myself, I wonder what your thoughts are on the same thing. So loans, advanced commission, when you start, but actually the whole point of the thing was you need to be coming in and this is your own business, right?
Yeah. I think we've looked at things like advanced commissions. We actually used to pay retainers to agents as well to help them with the transition. Did that, to be honest, I think it creates a bit of a false economy because when you go self-employed, you need to be financially ready for it. And if someone comes in and they're not quite financially ready, and actually what they're doing is taking on a loan, or they haven't got what it takes and they rest back on a retainer, it's not good commercially for the brokerage, but it's not good for them either. So we're, to some extent, I don't know whether ruthless is the right word, but we're decisive about whether we know if someone's the right match for self-employment or not. So we don't lead people down the garden path. And I think a lot of the brokerages don't oversell it at all. But I think it's really important they come in with their eyes open. And if you're giving a retainer or you're giving someone advanced commission, because they're not fully prepared or they wouldn't be able to do it otherwise, I think that potentially means that the agent is more interested in getting a bum on a seat and footing the bill to help make that happen than actually thinking fundamentally about whether that's the right person to go into self-employment. And as we have made that change, I recruited a lot more agents when we were offering retainers, for example. But now I can look back and
some of the ones that you ended up getting rid of in the periods.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they weren't bringing in the results.
They weren't bringing the results. And actually, agents now that are coming, we've got a much higher hit rate of we're not offering any of that stuff, and they're coming on and they're doing exceptionally well.
I've got some good questions for you.
Go on then.
Adam, are you competitive?
Yes.
Sure?
Yes.
Very?
Very.
Okay. What makes you competitive? What would drive your competition? Let's say you're sitting here today and your competitive nature might be a 6 because you're quite relaxed. Mm-hmm. What would take you to an 8 or a 10? Seeing someone else do something really well?
So are you thinking about us versus other brokerages?
No, anything. What takes you from a 6 to an 8 or a 6 to a 10? What's the trigger? Is it seeing numbers on an email, seeing numbers on a phone, seeing a social media post?
Yeah.
What is it where I need to now do X,
Are you leading him here?
I am.
I know where he wants this to go, but anyway, go on. I don't know where he wants it to go, so go on.
You think I'm relaxed about... or if I speak like I'm relaxed about a lot of things, but it's because when it comes to business, I've got a long time scale. Like, I'm not worried about what noise the other brokerage are making over the space of a couple of years, because I'm thinking about in 15 or 20 years, genuinely.
In any capacity, though, running, sports, what makes you more competitive?
I'm most competitive with myself. I want to make with running.
Okay.
I'm competing against myself to get a PB.
Okay.
But also, I grew up as a swimmer, and there you're in your own lane. You're competing on your own.
Yeah, very
and
much so.
The results are there. You're either reaching the wall at the first or not. And
first, which means you're against someone else.
For lots of people.
So what we're saying is, having other people swimming, running, whatever. Mm-hmm. I know you said it's about UVU, but having someone else pushing and to compete against helps you become more competitive.
It's coming.
Yeah.
It does. All of it. It's biology. And we should not be naive to think that's going to change over 5 years. We have to appreciate and realise that we're built a certain way to be competitive. So if that's the case, and we acknowledge that, if you don't have weekly, quarterly, quarterly's too far, weekly, monthly KPIs to measure your performance against another broker, how are you going to drive the extra competition? So the question to you is, do you have weekly KPIs that go out for all your brokers?
No.
Monthly?
Nope.
Quarterly?
Nope. Never.
See, for me, you're missing...
businesses have moved away from that. And I don't know necessarily whether that's the right thing. But go on, what were you going to say?
But that drives competition.
Does it drive certain other things as well?
Like what?
No, maybe sometimes I found in the corporate world where that was more prevalent. Sorry, Adam, I know you were going to say something. Hold on to what you were thinking. Is that when you make it very competitive and number orientated, it can create a slightly different approach to the actual work itself sometimes. Mm-hmm. So people would invariably in the meeting at an end of a week include certain figures into figures that weren't figures, and they would maybe be under pressure to hit certain numbers, and then would do certain things at a lower standard or make promises that they couldn't keep. I'm just being general here, but I get your point, and I'm just going to come back to it because I just wanted to challenge it, but at the same time acknowledge the way in which you kind of got Adam to admit the competitiveness, and I like
reluctantly.
That. But the bit that I'm interested in there as well, when you uncovered that, is that swimming is completely isolation. You are only competing against yourself. Yes, you've got however many other people in their lanes, but ultimately you don't look when you're in the water at where other people are. You're only thinking about how can I improve my own performance. What you're saying is that when you've got a coach, which I assume you had when you were swimming, that coach would have got you to perform at quicker times.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think that's where estate agents, if they're not being held accountable, if they're not getting direction, if they're not getting training, mentorship, coaching.
Any industry.
It's the same in any
Pick an industry.
It's a profession.
Yeah.
Why does Ronaldo get coached? Why does Messi get coached?
Yeah.
Why do they go
Tennis
to training?
players, anything.
Everyone.
And more importantly, sometimes as well, and I'm not taking anything away, but when you're an individual and you've got no one around you, I do find that sometimes whilst that gives off and it gives people a certain amount of freedom, that freedom can be compromised if they can't afford to run that particular lifestyle in that model, which is why a lot do struggle after 1 or 2 years. And that actually when you've got people around you and that energy around you, that's really good. And that really helps in terms of raise your game and performance.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting one. We're not here to say you're wrong. In fact, what you've created, Adam, with your innovation, your marketing, your trust. Trust is a freaking massive thing. I love this. There was a Simon Sinek video, and it was performance versus trust. And if you've ever seen that one about the Navy SEALs, when he talks about the metrics, you can have a high performer and low trust, and it can destroy a business and an environment, and so on and so forth. But the point is that trust's a huge thing to earn and to be given, and that comes with its own responsibility.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I get that's your kind of at your core that's really important to you. But there's a performance element which Jamie's touching on, which could maybe, with some people, it definitely takes them onto another level.
If I did a self-employed brokerage model, and obviously I've explored just the roadmap in my head, how it would look, what would happen, and what the pros and cons. You analyse everything, right? You're on your dog walk, you're in your hot tub, wherever you are, you're still analysing, you're breaking it down, you're assessing, you're looking at pros and cons. That is where I think the really successful brokerage models that will do the biggest numbers of the biggest brands across the UK, that's where I think they will benefit hugely. They will have a great brand, they will have great marketing, but I think they'll drive the healthy, not toxic, and there is a difference.
Yeah, there is.
They'll drive the healthy excitement of standards of numbers, and they do it in Dubai. Look at the Dubai market.
But do you think there's a lot of smoke and mirrors when you see what you see is going on in the premium, prime, super prime Dubai market? I mean, I've been keeping tabs on a few, and I can see the lack of sales completing in those models, and I do wonder how some actually survive. And a lot of it seems to be showing the listing rather than showing a completion. But just coming away from that, I want to ask you another question about AI, if that's all right, and how you see it in your own businesses and how it's going to help you to maybe grow faster or achieve your goal. And with you, Jamie, a slightly different question. How do you see it affecting the number of people that work for you? And I know that's quite a sensitive issue, but the reason why I ask is because AI is learning at a hell of a rate, and with a lot of automation and the ability not to be off sick, or perhaps causing problems in an environment or a pain in the arse to manage, which I imagine you have more of that than Adam. How do you see it playing in its strengths in your businesses, but also what do you see as the potential challenges? And we'll kick off with you on this question.
So there's a great book by Reid Hoffman called Super Agency about basically his perspective of how AI is going to impact humanity as a whole. But it's called Super Agency because one of the main principles of it is it's just going to increase individual agency and in sense of the ability for someone to control outcomes, get more done, increase productivity. And I just think that is going to be estate agency is the one thing I said earlier about what's not going to change. Yeah, the thing is that when people are moving house, they need a human being who's going to hold their hand, give them some advice, that understands the nuances of the situation. I think AI will just allow people to do more of that and take away the things that doesn't require human intuition or emotional intelligence. And I think anything outside of those two skill sets will at some point be replaced by computers. But we'll have a generation of agents that their success not only will be their personal network and brand, but also their ability to be able to maximize the effectiveness of the tools that will be available to them, and the more quickly they
what do you think the downside?
I mean, there's bound to be downsides of some sort, I guess. Like, people talk about job losses and all that sort of stuff, but people are adaptable. Like, as a whole, you could go down and look at the Industrial Revolution and think, there were some downsides. There's child labour, there was environmental costs, there's all sorts of stuff. But as a society, I don't think we wouldn't want to go back to pre-industrial times. And I think the same will be true of AI. There will be downsides. There will be things that, as a society and as an industry specific to us, we'll need to navigate and adjust to. But overall, we're on the cusp of seeing the biggest and most dramatic change in history, and that's super exciting.
I agree, it's really exciting. Yeah, I actually agree with what Adam said completely. There's a funny perspective that because we have a traditional model that we are outdated and not with the times. We love AI. We think it's fantastic. We're very much for that innovation in our business, in our branding, and what we do. And it will remove some of the bloat, which is great. It will remove some of the lower paid roles for people in your business. For example, the service whereby if you put a property up for let, you've got maybe 40, 50 inquiries in Norfolk. Do you really want a person to call all 40, 50 people? Well, actually, that's what we have been doing until you've got an automated system that will call them, WhatsApp them, make them have a pre-screen vetting process, all automated without human touching it straight away. Well, some of those don't reply, some don't reply to the follow-up, you wipe some of them out. So that is already happening in lots of businesses, but I don't know if that's happening in the big corporates. I'll be very surprised if it is, given the CRM and the marketing. And that's where I think there'll be lots of exciting change with market share and what's happening in the industry. But it will wipe out, I think, a lot of the entry-level people within a business. We removed 2 admins from our company because we didn't need them. AI saves so much time with creating descriptions and helping with floor plans and everything else. So there will be lots of those changes happening.
Rightmove was introduced in 1999 when you guys were probably still at school, I would imagine.
Harry Hill.
Yep.
And I was there, and basically Ian Wright, do you remember the footballer Ian Wright? He was part of the promo campaign. And everyone looked at it and went, email leads. I mean, nobody even bothered answering them. That was the mindset back then. But what happened with Rightmove further down the line, and my observation, I'm interested in yours, it made estate agents a bit lazier. That was my thought. Rightmove became the negotiator in the office, or the marketer in the office, and it stopped a lot of agents thinking that they should know who their buyers are, they should know who their sellers are, and put people together.
Do you think it's more difficult to be a really successful agent now than it was like at the time of Rightmove being introduced? Do you think it's actually, yes, there is lots of reliance on technology, but to be really at the top of your game, do you think it takes more to separate yourself? Does that make sense? Yeah, I understand that.
So here's my take on that. I worked from 96 to 2000, so that was the period there was no such thing as Rightmove, Zoopla, or any of these platforms. What I found back then is that you built better relationships, and people would generally come to the office because they had some intention to move. It wasn't a case of they would just view houses for the sake of viewing houses. You'd get a few. I mean, they used to call them tyre kickers or whatever it was, carpet treaders. But generally speaking, you could build that relationship and last that with them. So I feel that you understood people a lot more. You used your humanistic skills to build relationships and help people to find that right house. But there are a lot of tools today that can help you to do that at speed. So I think in some ways, if you retain those skills, today is the best place to be, for sure. What are your thoughts?
I think we will all soon have our own, as we do our iPhone, our own AI assistant.
Yeah.
So we'll have our own executive EA on our watches and in our phones. And I think from there, it will be so easy to find houses you want, as opposed to going via Rightmove and Zoopla and trawling through. And I know you can use ChatGPT already to help you find the right properties for you.
It's only going to speed up in terms of its learning model, isn't it?
But how much easier would it be for me to be on my phone today, hit my EA assistant, and I know we're not far off that. Hi there, please find me all the 3-bed semis within 10 miles of a certain city. Yeah. Please make sure it's under 600,000. Show me them straight away on my phone. Bang. Yeah. How much time am I going to save doing that versus Rightmove? So I don't think.
So do you think it's going to replace Rightmove?
I don't think Rightmove will be here forever. Something will have to change.
How long do you give it?
The pace in which we're moving at now is phenomenal.
It is.
So I don't think.
I mean, you imagine they've got a backup plan.
I don't think we should be narrow-minded
to
consider that change. You look at Nokia, you look at Blockbuster, these brands that didn't change because they were so in their own echo chamber of believing their own...
They were market leaders, weren't they, in there?
Believing their own hype, believing their own thing, because at the board meetings with each other saying we're amazing, right? But I think if you've got that Chat GPT, AI assistant, whatever you want to call it, right? Your own Mary, whatever the name for it is, and it can do all your searching for you and save you all that time, why would you go on Rightmove?
Well, I think everything you said makes complete sense, and like you can see it heading in that direction. But the exciting thing about this technology is that it's actually really difficult to even imagine what medium that might come in. Like it could be some technology like Sam Altman and Johnny Ive have just announced a new company, and it's some sort of AI interface. They haven't released any information on what it is. But Sam Altman, obviously one of the kind of most visionary technologists ever, has looked at something that Johnny Ive has created and gone, I've never experienced technology like it. And there's no one else, no one knows what it is, and unless you live in that part of the world. But this is there's things now that really forward-thinking, huge technology companies are going to be working on that are going to affect our lives in ways we can't imagine. And whether that's an AI agent, because that's the thing we've got access to, or whether it becomes something that we can't even imagine, that is just part of the excitement, I think.
I think when you're a self-employed agent and you're a bit of a jack of all trades, I used this on a previous podcast, and they've got to manage so much, and they lose that specific focus on certain individual elements, it's only going to heighten their ability or give them more time to focus on their A game as opposed to not.
Do you think the same skill set is required to go out, value, list a home as it is to dealing with sales progression?
Look, I think there's different skill sets.
Yes or no?
No.
I don't think we need to do sales progression in the future, because I think that probably one of the things that will be affected more quickly than anything else is just speeding up conveyancing. And
good luck.
So why in 5 years has that gone backwards when tech and AI has gone forwards?
Because it's centralised, it's reliant on government, and that you've got
archive files.
So when does that improve? Because I despite the private market being so advanced and so great at what's happening, when will the public sector change?
Should we not get onto the public sector? Because I could tell you a lot about that.
Without going to government, at what point...
No, go on to it. I was only joking. I'm quite happy to have that debate.
Let's break it down. At what point do transactions go through at a quicker rate based on the fact that we're reliant upon land registry and government-funded departments? When does that change?
I don't know. Who knows? But it's going to happen at some point. And I think it's probably going to be because... let's be honest. If a government decides to set out to revolutionise conveyancing and the land registry, by the time any decisions are made, the technology is outdated. That's the theme.
That's what's happening, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that by the time they get through the bureaucracy, the decision's 5 years behind.
Yeah. So it'll probably come down to an entrepreneur, probably in a different country, and
a Musk type.
Yeah, I don't know, something like that will happen, and it will force innovation or allow government to adopt it much more quickly. But you can't rely on them to do it. But it's bound to happen.
Yeah.
My problem with that, I don't even want to go down this journey.
Go on, let's go down it.
MP gets into power. 650 MPs are there roughly. They get, I call it 120k a year. I know these numbers, someone's going to be sitting at home saying, that's not right, there's 652 and they get 125. Point is, they're in power for a period of time. They've all got one vote, right? This is never going to be top of their priority.
No.
Because you've got crime, you've got health, you've got education.
Well, everything else is getting worse.
So how that
I hate to say that.
So that's the bit I struggle to see at what point, because AI is growing at a phenomenal rate, but at what point does it become important for an MP in their short tenure to change that? I think
it's not the MPs though,
No,
is it? It's the civil service and that's the civil service under the department that would look after like the land registry.
But who funds that?
We do.
Private sector.
Okay, but who decides upon the funding of land registry?
The Treasury.
Okay, and at what point are they going to make that change?
I don't know.
That's what I mean. I'm not saying you're wrong, but that's the bit I'm struggling to just assume that it's going to change very quickly.
Yeah.
Well, let me get back to, because you're right. We could dig down that rabbit hole. So I think generally speaking, we're excited about AI.
Yeah,
on this panel today.
Very.
There's a few concerns that are minor, but in the nicest possible way, it's going to make the experience better for the consumer. Do you know what? I've really enjoyed chatting to you two today. Very, 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 very different business models, very similar perspectives in some respects as well. What you've achieved, I said this when you were on my last podcast, what you've achieved and how you've achieved it has been incredible. You and Alex have worked bloody hard, and I know how challenging it is running a business when you're hiring people. I know how you've gone on it tenfold compared. So keep up the great work, Jamie. Some great
amazing business,
great stuff.
And I respect what you've done as well, and I respect the route in which you're going down, and I do see there's some value in it. I just don't see it.
He's like my new co-host, isn't he?
I don't see it for a big proportion of the market, which we've spoken about.
No.
You've done phenomenally well, and to set up at 20, I thought I was good at 22. So you beat me to it.
But what I like about is don't change who you are.
Yeah.
I know you're not going to, but what's important to you clearly is the fact that trust's a major part of your business model. And I think that's something to be admired, because there's a lot of people out there who've got the capability, but they're not given the trust.
Well, I think that's one of the great things about, any industry, estate agency though, because we all know all the such wide-ranging personalities, types of businesses, value sets, everything. And there's agents that are all looking for different type of things, and the choice is the best thing.
From today, you'll stand out for an agent who you will attract.
We resonate with.
And same with Jamie with high performance, energy, culture. So that's been Estate Agent Showdown today. What an episode. I've been enthralled by what you guys have covered, and I really value the fact that you've took the time out of your busy schedules, which you clearly have, to come and join us on the show. So what I'm going to say is make sure you like, subscribe, or don't if you love a bit of reverse psychology. Don't do it. Don't subscribe. Don't like. Don't share. Don't comment. But actually, please do, because it's going to help us to gather more guests. I'd love your feedback. This has been Estate Agent Showdown with Jamie and Adam. Thank you.